hunt began not with a roar of conviction, but with a shudder of chaos. The vast sun-scorched savanna stretched out, an ocean of yellow grass beneath an unforgiving blue sky. Kira, a lioness of formidable power and even fiercer instinct, led the charge. Beside her, or rather, tripping slightly in her powerful wake, was her son, Tamu. Tamu was a riot of curiosity and clumsiness, his youth a visible burden on his ambition. He was eager, yes, desperately so, but his paws were too big for his legs, and his focus was as flighty as a savanna butterfly. The target was a migration of wildebeest, a blackhand-brown river of muscle and fear. Kira had initiated the pursuit with a startling burst of speed, but the proximity of the youngster had alerted the herd prematurely. They scattered in a seismic panic. Hooves, sharp and numerous, began a relentless drumming that shook the very earth. Bodies surging like a broken dam in every conceivable direction. It was a maelstrom of dust and muscle, a blinding rush. With the scent of fear and the sight of dust obscuring her view, Tamu's cardinal mistake was made. He lost the comforting, scent-marked presence of his mother. Driven by the singular, burning need of a predator to chase, he fixed his gaze on the smallest, most vulnerable-looking wildebeest darting across the tumultuous field. His tiny legs pumped with a determination that outstripped his experience. But his blind, tunnel-visioned chase made him oblivious to the changing tapestry of the earth beneath him. The ground had been secretly hollowed out, a treacherous sinkhole left behind by months of torrential rain and relentless erosion. It lay hidden, an almost perfect circle of unexpected danger. The moment Tamu's front paws hit the void, the earth betrayed him. He crumbled instantly. With a sharp, shocked yelp that was more surprise than pain, the cub plunged. He tumbled end over end, a small, helpless blur of tawny fur, landing hard on his left side with a sickening thud that drove the breath from his small lungs. A cloud of fine ochre dust erupted around him. Tamu scrambled immediately to his feet, shaken but miraculously intact. He was in a prison of earth. The walls of the pit were brutally steep, their sides a crumbly, loose texture that offered no purchase. Instinct took over, the primal need to escape a trap. He tried again and again, his small, inexperienced claws scraping uselessly at the collapsing sides, his hind legs straining for a foothold that didn't exist. Each desperate effort resulted in a frustrating, ignoble slide back down to the dusty floor. A cold, liquid panic filled his small chest, replacing the adrenaline of the chase. His cries, initially tentative, grew louder, rising into sharp, piercing wails that tore through the suddenly emptying air. Far above, the chaotic sound of the retreating wildebeest herd dwindled, their forms vanishing into the hazy distance, leaving only a profound silence broken by the cub's desperate, desolate calls. The lioness Kira returned to the scene of the collapse, with the terrifying speed of a mother who knows instinctively when something has gone wrong. She roared, a deep, guttural sound of pure alarm. When her eyes located the source of the distress, her beloved son, trapped. She reached the very edge of the pit, her large paws digging into the crumbling rim. She leaned over, trying desperately to reach down with her powerful jaws, but the distance was an unbridgeable chasm. Every frantic attempt only loosened more dirt, sending a small, demoralizing cascade onto her frightened child. Her roars grew frantic, echoing across the vast, indifferent land. A desperate cry for a tribe that was nowhere near. For a long, agonizing minute, she paced, a whirlwind of powerful muscle and frustrated love. Then, with one last, anguished, choking cry, she did the only thing a mother could do when her strength was insufficient. She turned and ran. Kira was not abandoning her cub. She was searching for a salvation that lay outside the realm of her own strength. The lioness sprinted across the savanna, her chest heaving with exertion and sorrow. Her eyes scanned the horizon, searching for any anomaly, any presence of overwhelming size or strength. She ran until her breath was ragged, stopping only when her gaze fixed upon a colossal, beautiful silhouette moving with impossible grace near a cluster of acacia trees. It was a giraffe, its legs like monumental pillars, its head nearly touching the sky as it quietly browsed. The animal was Django, a bull giraffe, imposing and calm. Kira slowed her frantic pace, approaching the towering herbivore cautiously, her posture changing from predator to supplicant. She did not roar with aggression. She roared with sheer heartbreaking desperation. Her cries were broken, guttural, and trembling. A sound Django had never heard from a lion before. Django's massive head snapped up. His large, dark eyes focused on the lioness, his ears flicking rapidly as he sensed something profoundly unusual. Instead of the coiled, predatory crouch, this lioness was circling him, lowering her head, roaring again, not threateningly, but as though pleading for help. For a long, tense moment, the giraffe hesitated, his primal instinct urging him to flee the known danger. But the sincerity, the sheer depth of the lioness's despair was palpable. Then, with a surprising, almost contemplative resolve, Django took a slow, deliberate step and began to follow her. Together, the strange allies reached the treacherous pit where Temu was trapped. Django stepped forward, his immense presence instantly dwarfing the hole and the frightened cub within. His impossibly long neck arched as he peered down into the dusty crater. Temu, recognizing the enormous presence as something not of danger, but of overwhelming benign strength, cried out louder, a final despairing plea. Django stamped the ground once, the sound a dull thump of decision. Then, with deliberate slow care, he lowered his colossal body as far as he could, bending his front knees slightly. Then came the truly extraordinary effort. He stretched his long neck, that majestic, beautiful column of bone and muscle, downward, deep into the pit. He angled his head so that the rough, short spikes of his mane lay within the cub's reach. At first, Temu shrank back, his fear of the immense unknown creature momentarily eclipsing his desperation. But Kira roared a low, urgent encouragement from the edge, pacing anxiously, her eyes never leaving her son. Summoning the last reserves of his strength and courage, the small cub lunged upward. His tiny jaws clamped down, not on flesh, but on the coarse, scratchy hairs of Django's mane. The giraffe, with astonishing power and an unexpected suddenness, straightened. He did not pull quickly. He lifted with a magnificent, controlled surge. In one fluid motion, Django elevated Temu high enough for Kira to instantly seize her offspring gently but firmly in her mouth. She dragged the cub clear of the pit and onto the solid, safe earth. Temu collapsed instantly, trembling, exhausted, but miraculously whole and alive. Kira bent low, her powerful body shielding him. She licked his dust-caked fur, nuzzling his small body with a torrent of fierce, overwhelming relief. Then, she slowly turned toward the creature who had saved her son. For a profound moment, predator and prey faced one another in utter stillness. There was no flicker of the hunt in the lioness's eyes, only a deep, powerful gratitude. She lowered her massive head in a silent, solemn acknowledgement. Django remained motionless, his chest heaving from the unnatural exertion. He leaned down just slightly, his large nostrils flaring as if to reassure himself with the cub scent one last time. Then, with a slow, almost regal step, he backed away from the lioness and her child. Kira watched him go, her cub pressed tightly and safely against her side. That day, something truly extraordinary had unfolded on the vast savannah, an alliance, born not of instinct, but of profound shared compassion. A cub's life had been saved, not by its mother alone, but by the unexpected, merciful intervention of a creature from another, distant world of herbivory. The pit lay silent once more, a scar on the earth, but above it lingered a story destined to be whispered on the dry winds and remembered in the silent moments before the hunt. The day a great giraffe named Django bent low to lift a lion cub named Temu back into the protective arms of his mother, Kira.